welcome to the Little Blue Pot. It's Jem here. Thank you for clicking on this video. I hope it finds you well. I'm not doing too bad myself today, but it is raining outside. I turn the camera around, but I can't to capture the wild and windy weather outside. But apologies if that's being picked up on the microphone. So cyclothymia, what is cyclothymia? I'm going to be talking about that in this video. I've taken my information today from the NCCH, a charity working in the UK that supports people with learning disabilities, autism and mental health problems. Really great resource for cyclothymia, and they also have some other links on the site. I'll put the links in the description to go to other places to get more information about cyclothymia. I've taken the most important bits I thought would be useful to talk about today, taken those, put them into some sort of order. We're going to be talking about what cyclothymia is, we're going to be talking about the signs and symptoms, and then the possible things you can do to help with your cyclothymia treatments, therapies and things like that. So without further ado, let's get started and learn about cyclothymia. Cyclothymia or cyclothymic disorder is a mental illness which causes people to experience mood swings, which in turn affect their ability to carry out everyday tasks. Cyclothymia is often thought of as a mild form of bipolar disorder. The changes in mood that people experience are beyond what most people regard as the normal ups and downs of everyday life. The person's mood may change from feeling depressed to feeling very happy and energetic. However, these changes in mood are not extreme enough, nor do they last as long enough to qualify for a diagnosis of bipolar. So when we're talking about bipolar, we're talking about different mood states, talking about depressive states, hypermanic states, manic states, and mixed states. With cyclothymia, you experience the same mood swings, but they are much milder. You still do experience hypermania, you do still experience the depression and maybe mania as well, but it's not as severe. It's still a mental illness, it's still a serious mental illness, so even though it's not as severe as bipolar, we still need to be treating it with the same importance, respect and understanding. So we all have ups and downs, but if we have cyclothymia, the mood swings can affect our daily lives. Same with bipolar. If we are experiencing these dramatic mood shifts, mood changes, mood swings, then it's going to have an impact on our life. So it's more than just feeling a bit up and down, good days, bad days. It's a change in mood. It is a mood disorder. So there's changes in our mood. I hope that makes sense. So cyclothymia is diagnosed over the course of 2 years and is characterised by frequent short periods of hypermania and depressive symptoms, separated by periods of stability. It is important to remember that although cyclothymia is described as being a milder form of bipolar disorder, it is a condition which can cause distress and anxiety and have a great impact on someone's quality of life. Although it is a serious illness, cyclothymia can be managed and people with the condition can lead full, healthy, productive lives. So I hope that's explained cyclothymia, what it is. I'm going to be going more detail into the moods when I talk about the signs and symptoms. But what are the causes? Well, the exact cause of cyclothymia are not fully known, but it seems that there are changes in the chemicals in the brain when people experience an episode of mania or depression. So we're having chemical reactions in our brain making us go into these moods, which we can't help because of what's going on up here. People are more likely to be at risk of developing cyclothymia if a family member has it. So if it's in your genetics, then it may be something that is passed down. It may not always be passed down, but it's something that could be passed down. And also stressful experiences, physical illness and traumatic events are thought to trigger the condition in some people. So that's our environment. So we've got our genetics, what we're born with, our actual chemical brain activity that's going on, and our environment. So stress can trigger this, physical illness, traumatic events. Those are some of the causes, but everyone will have different causes because everyone is different. So what may cause one person's may not cause someone else's. So who is affected by cyclothymia? Well, about 1 in 100 people have a form of bipolar disorder, which includes people who have cyclothymia. It often develops in a person's late teenage years or early adult years. At least half of all cases start before a person reaches 25. Some people have their first symptoms during their childhood, while others may develop symptoms later on in life. Cyclothymia affects men and women from all social and ethnic backgrounds. So, interested to see who's affected. And as it says, you know, it could start developing in the late teens, early 20s, and half of the cases start before the person reaches 25. So you're going to be developing this at a young age, and it's going to be quite hard to cope with when you don't know much about it. If you've just had that diagnosis, maybe you're trying to learn as much as you can. It's very, very hard to get the initial diagnosis of an illness, because then you just think, what do I do with it? Where do I go and everything? So I'm hoping that some of this will give you a bit more insight into what you can do. So what are the signs and symptoms of cyclothymia? Well, I'm going to go through the signs of mania and hypomania first, and then I'm going to talk about the depressive signs and symptoms. So signs of mania, or a manic episode, or hypomania. Now, mania and hypomania are keywords that are used to describe a mood state for people with bipolar and cyclothymia. Now, there's mania, which is at one level, and then there's hypomania. Hypomania is less, it's a lower level, less intense, less serious form of mania. So you can have mania, hypomania as your kind of manic side of the illness, or then you can have the depressive low side of the illness. So first of all, let's talk about mania and hypomania signs and symptoms. So a period of feeling high or being overly happy or outgoing. Extremely irritable in mood, agitation, feeling jumpy or wired. It's all signs of hypomania and mania. Talking very fast, jumping from one idea to another, having racing thoughts. Being easily distracted, so not being able to focus on one thing, getting distracted by other things. Increasing goal-directed activities such as taking on new projects. So you're probably likely to be saying, I can do that, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. And not really thinking if it's possible that you can do it. Being restless and sleeping very little. Having an unrealistic belief in one's abilities. Behaving impulsively and taking part in a lot of pleasure. Sorry, I'll try that one again. Behaving impulsively and taking part in a lot of high pleasure, high risk behaviours such as spending sprees, impulsive sex, impulsive business investments. So that's kind of where you would get to if you were feeling hypomanic. There's other things as well, but they're the main ones that I've taken from my research today. And hopefully those will give you an idea of the signs and symptoms to see what this person with cyclothymia is going through. So now let's talk about the depressive side of the illness, of the disorder. So we have signs of depression or depressive mood. So we've had our mania and hypomania, and now we have our depressed mood. But there are periods in cyclothymia, there are periods of stability in between these mood shifts. Signs of depression or depressive mood: a period of feeling worried or empty, loss of interest in activities once enjoyed, including sex, feeling tired or lacking in energy, having problems concentrating, remembering and making decisions, being restless or irritable, changes in habits such as sleeping, eating or other habits, thinking about death or suicide or attempting suicide. So lots of signs and symptoms there. And if you have cyclothymia, can you tell me about your signs and symptoms? What happens when you are in a hypomanic state? What happens to you when you are in a depressed state? Please let me know your thoughts on that so I can get more insight for me, so I can have an even better understanding. My videos are taken from lots of research, and I try to get the best stuff together for you guys. But it's always good to have input from other people, to get a conversation going, to make us all feel less alone, to end the stigma, and to raise awareness of mental illnesses such as cyclothymia. So those are the signs and symptoms. But what can help with cyclothymia? What can we do? What things are out there that will help us if we have cyclothymia? Getting help as early as possible. Research shows that people make a better recovery from cyclothymia if they receive help at the earlier stages of the condition. But even if you've had the condition for a while and you're not getting help, get help. Really, really important, because you will be given support. The more support you get, the more able you are to live alongside your condition and not let it define you, not let it take over your life. To have that understanding. So getting help is the first stage, whether that's seeing a GP, where they can refer you to a psychiatrist, or going to see your mental health professional and seeing if you can get a referral to a psychiatrist if you have a psychiatrist, or or a psychologist. Someone like that can help give you the diagnosis if you think you have it. If some of those signs and symptoms resonate with you, then let me know. But it's not just about getting help from people. There are medications as well. Now, there are two sides to the fence when it comes to medications and mental health. I personally think there's a time and a place for medications, but I also think that medications should not be the only thing you are being given. Medications help, but they are not the answer. The answer is more of a holistic approach, where we take a look at other areas where we can take care of ourselves. And I'll be talking about those now. But let's go back to medications. So medications, antipsychotics, these reduce the manic episode. Antidepressants help during a depressive episode, or mood stabilizers, which can help both manic and depressive episodes. And all of these can be taken at the same time to prevent the symptoms returning. But there's not just medications. There's other things that you can do, such as psychological therapies, such as psychotherapy, counselling, cognitive behavioural therapy, relationships and family therapy. They are just some. But these are things that will help alongside your medications, alongside getting your help as soon as possible. The next one is getting support and sharing experiences with other people living with cyclothymia. So that could be watching videos on YouTube, that could be going into forums, that could be chat rooms, that could be anything where you're getting support or being able to have support from people that are going through the same thing. That really helps. And I found that when I was doing my group therapy, I was able to share my experiences with other people. They shared them with mine. We all felt less alone. We all felt, okay, it's not just me going through this, so therefore I'm going to be able to do what I can to manage this illness as best I can. So that's another way that you can get support. So another one, learning as much as you can about the condition and how it affects you. This could include how to recognise that you might need help. It can be useful to do this together with family members and other members who are involved in supporting you. So learn about the condition, but go to reputable sites. Go to places like Mind, Rethink, Mental Health Foundation, where they've done a lot of research and they provide great detail into a lot of the explanations for mental disorders and the help and support that's available. So do that, but also try and do it with a family member. Maybe do some research and talk to them about it, so then they're getting an understanding. The more you do that, the better we're all going to be equipped to kind of manage it, and the people that care for you can help you manage it too, which would be great. And looking after yourself, having a healthy lifestyle by eating well, keeping active and getting enough sleep. This isn't always easy when you have a mental illness, especially if we're thinking about the depressed state of cyclothymia. You're going to be less likely to want to do stuff. You're going to be feeling tired, lethargic, you're going to be feeling a bit empty, a bit lost. So to do kind of positive, healthy things to your body when you're feeling that way is really, really hard. So, and trying to get sleep, if you're having maybe in hypomania, the sleep is going to be a big problem. So you've got to work out ways that you can try and introduce little healthy habits here and there, because the better you take care of this, the better you'll be able to cope with what's going on in here. because if we have a good baseline, a good steady baseline, we are able to be strong from that baseline and take care of everything else that's going on around us. The next one, finding ways to reduce the amount of stress in your life and trying to avoid the things which may trigger an episode. Stress is a huge trigger for people with mental illness as a whole, but particularly people with bipolar disorder and cyclothymia. It can take them into a manic state, it can take them into a hypomanic state, it can take them into a depressed state, and the stress can build up and build up and build up, and we don't realise we're actually quite stressed until all of a sudden, okay, I'm having a real bad episode now. I'm having a full blown mania. I can't sleep. I can't function. So if we think about areas in your life that cause you stress, try and think of new ways to approach those so you get less stress. The less stress we have, the better. But stress is just one of the triggers. There are other triggers. Know what triggers you, what triggers your low mood, what triggers you to be hypomanic, what triggers your mania. Think about those and write them down somewhere to get ideas for kind of how you can manage it, because the better you get used to managing it, the easier it's going to be to cope and live alongside your illness. And then finally, make changes to your life to increase your sense of well-being, such as meditation, yoga, deep breathing, stretching, tai chi, lots of things like that, to give you a more peaceful outlook. And if you're practicing meditation, that's going to really help with your stress levels as well. So if you are someone who gets triggered a lot by stress, then looking after your well-being is going to be really helpful towards that. Thanks for watching. I hope I've done my best to explain cyclothymia and comparing to bipolar disorder, as well as going through the signs and symptoms and what you can do to support yourself, or what help there is out there for you to be able to cope better with your illness. My mouth is all over the place today. Please put any comments or questions you have in the space below, and I'll do my best to reply. It's always good to hear from you guys, especially anyone watching this who has cyclothymia, or anyone watching this who is a carer of someone who has cyclothymia. Really please comment, please share with me your experience so I can further develop my understanding as well. Thanks for watching, take care, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Take care guys, bye now.